Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the Mark J. Rebilas Photography Grand National Series at Chicagoland. Oh, this one is going to be a barn burner. The Windy City 150. I am your play-by-play man, James Watson, with race control / color commentary tonight, William White, and our producer, David Huckleberry. First off, gonna start this by kicking to my broadcast partner of sorts. William, how you doing tonight?
Doing good, yeah. Looking forward to round 2 of the series tonight. First test for these guys on the intermediates. Good full field here. I think we've got 43 cars starting tonight, so yeah, looking for a good one.
Yes, sir. Gonna be another full grid with, I think, a little bit of bumping here, so that means qualifying is gonna be absolutely important and literally the make or break for some drivers. Here are the championship standings after last week's season opener at Daytona. Your points leader is Seth Rawls with Gavin Hibbs and Tate Lytle rounding out the top 3, with Mark Rebilas, the title sponsor for the series, in 4th, and David Tucker in 5th. Matthew Weeks, Paul Mikolajczyk, Ryan Borges, Brandon Wilkinson, and Gavin Higgins, your top 5. Jared Rexing, Jesse Racimus, Frank Fody, Josh Adams, Trey Eitzen, Tyler Popp, Joe Francis, and Blake Reynolds rounding out the top 18 of the standings. And this is your rookie standings. Paul Mikolajczyk leading Ryan Borges and Christopher James. And here is the starting grid for tonight's race. Jonathan Cutlip, your pole sitter, with J.P. Phillips on the front row, Tyler Popp and Tyler Fody on row 2, Tate Lytle, Brandon Wilkinson, row 3. Row 4 features Gavin Hibbs and Matthew Weeks. Trey Eitzen and Blake Reynolds rounding out the top 5. Gavin Higgins and Ethan Burrell on row 6. Tommy Ryan and Justin Wadsworth, row 7. David Tucker, Leighton Norgard, row 8. Row 9 has Ryan Borges and Joe Francis. Scott Crump and Jeff Green rounding out the top 20. Michael Hosick, Gerald Campbell on row 11. Paul Mikolajczyk and Chad Frankenfield, row 14. Or no, I messed that up. Jeff Ryan, Kyle Hanshaw, row 13. Luna Albright, Jacob Adams, row 14. Seth Rawls, Jaden Racimus rounding out the top 30. Dustin Dorr, Dylan Javier here at 31st and 32nd. Jared Rexing and Dominic Wright, 33rd, 34th. 35th, Jesse Racimus, 36th, Frank Fody. Kale Pocock and Christopher James, 37th and 38th. Connor Thompson, Brent Jones, 39th and 40th. Josh Adams, Mike Goodman, and Mark Rebilas, your top 43. Sean Judson, Kirk Gibson, and Harrison Talon are the ones going home, I believe. Whew, I'm always out of breath after reading off these starting lineups. There are so many cars in this series. Well, everyone is on the grid for tonight's event, and we're going to have one opportunity to take a breath and rest up before we get going. Good qualifying effort for J.P. Phillips there, being able to put the 34 on the front row and out-qualifying Tyler Fody and Tate Lytle, of all people. That is an impressive run for him.
A good run for JP. Typically someone we see towards the front in trucks and in the development series, formerly the ARCA series, but he's done well to get that 34 machine up onto the front row. Jonathan Cutlip, less of a surprise, especially on an intermediate. We saw one of his performances at Kansas a couple seasons back, put a clinic on absolutely everybody, so not surprising to see him on pole at a mile and a half. Blake Reynolds a little out of position for an ex-Coke Series driver. He finds himself in 10th position, the reigning Cup Series champion. so we'll see what he can do. A lot of big names shuffled around the top mid-pack, but definitely not surprised to see Cutlip on the pole, but this should be an interesting race over the next century elapse.
Yeah, gonna require a lot of focus and tire conservation for our competitors tonight. As the pace car get ready to make that hard left-hand turn on a pit road, Jonathan Cutlip will lead us to the restart zone, and green means go. We're underway at Chicagoland. Even start for our front row. Jonathan Cutlip getting a little bit of advantage as he sails it off into turn 1. He's going to clear the 34. And he's going to come right up in front. Oh, nope, he's going to jump down. Phillips with a run on the outside.
That's JP Phillips trying to take the not trying to take the inside. Cutlip definitely preemptively defending there into turn 3. Chicagoland definitely something more of a multi-groove track than most intermediate, so that outside lane could potentially come into things later on, but as of now on fresh tires, the 5 knowing that the inside line really working there. Well, for him, we'll see if we see that again. Not this time. Cutlip unable to defend. Here comes JP Phillips to the inside, looking to lead some laps here early doors.
Absolutely, JP Phillips, he does not want to wait around. He wants to get this lead. And Phillips is going to take that lead at the line. Yeah, you bring up an excellent point. That's one of the reasons why people love this Chicagoland and consider it one of the best of the mile and a halves, because you have multiple grooves that are going to work and work well. You see a lot of guys tend to use that higher line and rip the lip up there by the wall, and it gives you such fantastic momentum. But to me, it always wears the tires pretty significantly here on iRacing. So whenever I'm running here, I'm always trying to bottom feed as much as I can to stretch my tires as far as I can get them. And also I have a massive skill issue with keeping it out of the wall too. That's also a massive reason. So we see JP Phillips starting to put a little bit of gap to the pole sitter of Jonathan Cutlip. About 0.3 of a second here. And Cutlip is going to have his hands full with Tyler Popp. And here comes Gavin Hibbs looking to the inside of the 13. Side by side for P3 behind the 5 of Jonathan Cutlip. Meanwhile, these top 4 have started to set sail from Tyler Fody. It looks like Fody is really on the conservation game here. And that's something you gotta keep in mind. Chicagoland is not easy on the tires. It's not one of the top ones that you would think as far as tire wear, but it is killer on these tires, especially that right front. So you gotta be really careful trying to get these Goodyears to last as long as they can. This is now Gavin Hibbs past Tyler Popp and looking to the inside of Cutlip for P2. Cutlip will hold position around the outside, carrying that momentum, but Hibbs is still there, still fighting with that fluorescent yellow Toyota Supra. And he's going to get it. Move Gavin Hibbs up to P2 and trying to run down the race leader, JP Phillips.
Yeah, definitely strong start from both JP and from Gavin here. Dethroning Cutlip off the front row here, but I would be keeping an eye on Jonathan Cutlip. He's a very methodical driver, very smooth, but still blindingly fast. I think we get a long green flag run here. I think the tyres will start to come back to John, and he's a clinical overtaker. I think he'll start to get moves done sooner rather than later if he can get back to the bumpers of the 95 and the 34. Speaking of those two drivers, they're about to start tussling for position themselves. This is exactly what Jonathan Cutlip wants to see, and that's Gavin Hibbs diving straight down to the inside of the 34 of JP Phillips takes the lead straight back. And leading his first laps of the evening is the 95 of Gavin Hibbs, really with no resistance from the 34 whatsoever.
Yeah, he tried. He tried to kind of go up and go low, and Hibbs having to make a little bit of a quick move to get to the inside of that 34 going into turn 1. Made it a little exciting, but a great move by the 95, and now he's already starting to put some space in between him and the 34, as Cutlip is starting to run down the 34. We see 3 wide towards the middle of the field. Norgard and Adams side by side, and Ryan and Mikolajczyk side by side behind them. All kinds of side by side. Look at that. It's like we're still under pacing.
Yeah, a bit like we're still at Daytona from a week ago. Leighton Norgard just gets the move done there on the 26, a bit further up. This is where we've seen the offset 3 wide. We've got a bunch of very accomplished drivers in this pack here. Gavin Higgins, David Tucker, Scott Crump, and Ethan Burrell, all multi-time race winners in the league. And just in front of them, it's a 3-time Daytona 500 champion, newly crowned. That's Matthew Weeks in the 11. Now up into the top 10, but still quite a ways away from the top 4, who have begun to break away as JP Phillips tumbles briefly off the ticker, presumably some connection issues, but he's back now in that 34. Car finds himself a quarter of a second off Gavin Hibbs in the lead. A fairly clean opening 12 laps here. Chicagoland typically fairly reliable for long green flag runs, especially once you get a few laps under your belt. There's more 3-wide action. That's Luna Albright on the bottom, trying to get past Jacob Adams and Michael Harsack. Harsack running the wall there, going to be able to get past a pair of them, certainly going to clear the 26. Albright, though, they're still in the fight with Jeff Green for Pro Edge behind them. See if they can get the move done off of turn number 4. Nothing going.
Oh, big wiggle from Green. Oh!
Jeff Green. Oh. Absolutely.
Oh,
wiggle from Jeff Green. Just gets into the left front of Jacob Adams. With Josh Adams a little bit further back, Shifty Sports teammates, and of course, blood related there.
Yeah, Jeff Green nearly made us go yellow on that one. A great save from the 2 to hold on to it. Yeah, they heard us, William, talking about how reliable it is for green flag running, and they're about to put an end to it. The aggression is starting to pick up here in the mid pack as we are 3 wide once again.
It's a nice wide track. Is Chicagoland Speedway racing offset 4 nearly there, I think, with Racimas, Pocock, and Javier getting involved as well there. 3 again. Everyone just trying to find their own lane. I think now the tyres are starting to matter here. As we've gone green the whole way, I think everyone's starting to think, oh, I might have the tyres on this guy. Let's see if I can get a move done. That's when the aggression starts to ratchet up. Of course, you get aggressive too early, you'll start being on the receiving end of it. Your tyres might go off. So it's almost like a big chess match, trying to preserve your Goodyear rubber. So the aggression will start to ratchet up the later on we go. But still, clean and green for the moment.
Someone got the wall towards the back.
Yeah.
I think it might have been Rebilas, but I'm not sure. Seth Rawls giving a hip check to someone right there at the 3.
Yeah, I definitely saw some smoke there, contact.
I
think between Seth Rawls and Jeff Ryan. Seth Rawls apologizing over the radio. I do wonder if that 3 car potentially has damage. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see. Doesn't look too worse for the rear. It wasn't significant contact, so, and with the composite bodies on these Xfinity cars, they're robust, so they can take a bit of a beating. So I think Jeff will probably be able to be fine from that, but it definitely costs him some time. You see side by side Tate Lytle and the 90 of Scott Crump. Lytle be able to pull him off of the high side, move him up into the top 10. And now he's looking for Fody for more. And he's gonna clear the 40 just barely. Lytle up to 9th. That 56 car has found some mega pace right now. So we are already, I'd say, getting close to about halfway through this run. I think we're gonna get, I don't know, maybe right at lap 50 on fuel. I'm not sure. Don't have exact fuel numbers right now. But they'll definitely be able to go past the end of stage 1 at lap 40 as Gavin Hibbs continues to lead a pretty healthy, about 6.5 lead over the front row runners of Cutlip and Phillips. And Blake Reynolds, he's making his way up. He started 10th. He's now up into the top 5. Bringing the 6 of Justin Wadsworth with him. And then, don't look now, that 11 car, Matthew Weeks, we know he loves these longer races where you just have to focus on conserving your stuff. A track and a race like Chicagoland just suits that 11 car so well. So it's only a matter of time before we see him up at the front battling for the race lead.
Yeah, this is where the top guys are really starting to rise again. You mentioned that 6.5 gap between Hibbs and Cutlip. That's down to just 4 tenths. We mentioned how good Cutlip is on these long runs at these intermediate tracks. We're seeing the same again here. Fastest car on the track. He's doing 32.5s. Hibbs doing 32.7s, 32.6 on 5 for Cutlip, so 10.5 there. Blake Reynolds with a 6.28 as well. You look behind him, Matthew Weeks doing a 5.60. Wadsworth with a 6.19. Tucker with a 6.27. These guys all saving their stuff early on. Tate Lytle as well, not too far behind them, and Scott Crump. So a lot of the drivers now in the top 10. They're, you know, almost household names in this league. They have that status for a reason. They are starting to work their way back up towards the front, and it's Jonathan Cutlip now of Channel 199 Racecraft Academy trying to bear down on Strickland Stocks Gavin Hibbs in that 95 machine, and the gap has come down by about 1/10 each and every lap. Won't be long before we've got another fight for the lead.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. Everyone in this series is about a who's who of not only the Elite Racing League, but, you know, who's who of iRacing in general, with Cook Series driver, of course, Blake Reynolds right there chilling in P5. So just making the race in these series, that's an accomplishment in and of itself, considering the talent that you have to go up against. You know, loading into the session and seeing everyone's iRatings, it's just incredible. Just so many guys with ridiculous numbers next to their name. It's incredible. We really put the elite in the Elite Racing League.
Definitely, and that trend really has only been continuing the past few seasons. Obviously, the trend of ex-Coke, ex-pro drivers, or current even pro drivers entering the scene sort of started with the IndyCar series. A lot of those guys, Joshua Chin, Jason Brophy, Robert Malechka, they all eventually graduated to the IndyCar Pro Series in iRacing. We're now seeing that in the stock car stuff. Garrison Hogan, a Road to Pro driver, has been in the league for a few years now. Blake Reynolds used to be in the Coke Series. Zach Novak, 2019 Coke champion, now runs in our Cup Series. It's becoming more of, like you say, a who's who of not just guys like Tate Lytle, Ethan Burrell, who have won lots of championships in the past, but also who have, you know, competed and have won at the top level in all of iRacing. And I think that trend is really only going to continue, and the competition levels begin to ratchet up, and it's become harder and harder to run at the front of these things, and it's going to make those wins all the more impressive for these guys.
And speaking of ratcheting up, we got a battle for the lead ratcheting up. Here comes Cutlip looking around the outside of the 95. He's going to have Phillips right there behind, and they're going to be close. Hibbs is going to give him the room. think Cutlip might have got the wall a little bit off of it too, but it's not going to matter. Jonathan Cutlip is back to the lead of the Windy City 150, and now Hibbs about to lose second to Phillips. They're going to be side by side. Hibbs trying to use that middle line. Oh, and they almost squeeze. Woo! I wasn't sure if Hibbs was going to have enough space to make that move. He just cuts in front of the 34 of Phillips. Oh man, I wasn't sure if I was going to see the 95 get sent to the infield grass, but he had enough. He gets away with it, and we are of course still green as Tyler Pop trying to look to the inside of Phillips, trying to get third place.
Yeah,
Still side by side, and here comes Reynolds making it 3 wide.
And that's the sort of clinical move you expect from an ex-Coke driver, as and that's JP blinking out again.
Yeah, I was gonna say we were 3 wide, and we're 3 wide again. That's exactly what you want to see if you're Reynolds, Pop, and even Wadsworth behind.
Yeah,
well, that was terrifying.
Scary sight to see cars disappearing off your screen, but we're already seeing sort of multi-groove racing. We were talking about Gavin Hibbs trying to hang on with tyres that are definitely getting to their expiry date, as it were, with how hard he pushed early doors. He was running just a sort of a lane, half a lane above Jonathan Cutlip on that first seam above the white line, trying to get on that progressive bank and try and get some more turn in the car. He's doing it again here. JP Phillips and Blake Reynolds still running that low line. Blake was initially a little bit further up by the wall, getting some clean air on his nose. That's what helped him pass Tyler Pop, and what may well help him pass the 3 in front of him. But I think still biding his time, keeping his stuff in check, waiting for a run that he can get on JP, on Gavin, and on John. But as of now, after a bit of shuffling in positions up towards the front, Jonathan Cutlip has reassumed the lead. Gavin Hibbs, though, still keeping touch, maybe better than we might have expected with how quickly Cutlip caught the 95, but things remaining quite orderly at the front now.
Yeah, so far they just, as I'm about to say, they're settling in. Here comes Reynolds with a bit of a slide job to the inside of Phillips, and Phillips going for the crossover. Going full Dale Jr. here. Slide job, as Phillips will take the spot back.
Blake again running that couple seams above the white line. Going to cut down a little bit, get that rotation, get that turn. Going to fend off Tyler Pop, but JP Phillips with a good defense there. Sees the slide job from Blake Reynolds and just about takes the car width that Blake leaves there. Takes the inside into turn 1 and keeps P3 for now, but you do wonder, the longer these guys fight, Blake Reynolds has done a really good job of keeping those tyres in better condition than really the vast majority of this field. Do you wonder if JP is starting to fight a bit of a losing battle here? But, you know, we are coming to stage points. We're going to 7 to go in stage 1. Every point matters here. I think, for now at least, JP, I think, definitely wise to battle for position here. But here comes Blake again, looking for it.
Yeah, Blake Reynolds looking to the inside. Not quite throwing a slider, just keeping it alongside of the 34. Phillips going to have a little bit of momentum off of the corner, start the pull as Tyler Pop jumping behind the 34, trying to push him by the 86 and follow him through. Blake Reynolds still keeping up to the door of the 34, still side by side, going down the curve, back straightaway. The unique back straightaway here at Chicagoland. No other mile and a half has a back straightaway like this. Is Reynolds. Oh, he's trying to slide up, and he will. He will clear the 34. Blake Reynolds up into third, but Phillips not giving up. He is heating up the rear of that 86. So we have a battle for the lead once again. Here comes Hibbs trying to get back past the 5. Meanwhile, something happened to Luna Albright. She has retired from the race. Don't know what happened. We'll see if Dave can get some sort of a replay here as we're watching. Here we go. There we go. There's the 4 side by side with the 42. That's the one of Jaden Racimus around the outside, and okay
someone
then.
ran up to their keyboard and gave them a big Alt F4.
Yeah, not sure about that. Whatever it is, that is massively unfortunate for Luna Albright. While back to the lead of the race, Hibbs not able to complete the pass on Cutlip. The 5 still continues to lead as we only have 4 laps to go till the end of the stage. And now here comes Reynolds trying to get a spot from Hibbs. He's trying to get to second. And Reynolds still having to deal with Pop and Phillips. They are almost side by side for third. 3 wide for third. Oh, and I think they're still... Nope. Reynolds jumping down in front. Trying to cut off both cars. 3 laps to go on the stage.
Yeah, you
There we
saw
are of it. 100 laps.
Right up
Go
by
on,
the
Will.
wall. Is he still trying to look for the pass? He's within a 10th now. Does he send it deep into 3? He's definitely hanging on better than we expected. As we mentioned just how quickly Cutlip caught and passed that 95. You do wonder whether those tyres were past their expiry date. Evidently not. Hibbs again trying to run the wall, using the absolute last of those tyres for these last 2 laps here. But Blake Reynolds, now that he's got a bit of a gap between himself and JP Phillips, he can worry about setting off after the 95 and the 5. So P3 trying to get to P2, P2 trying to get to P1, P1 with his hands very much full, lap and a half to go.
Yeah, meanwhile, the 11 car is on the scene. Mr. Where in the heck did he come from? Matthew Weeks looking to the inside of Wadsworth for 6. He's going to get it. Now Tyler Pop is going to have his hands full with that 11 as we got 1 lap to go in stage 1. Car length lead for Cutlip as here comes Reynolds trying to get 1 more stage point. Going to be side by side with Hibbs. They're still side by side. Pretty equal as we sail it off down into turn 3. Reynolds just about, and he's going to clear, baby, barely. As Jonathan Cutlip is going to win stage 1. Reynolds second, Hibbs. Oh, actually, I don't know who was. I got to double check. That was super close. Yeah,
5
Reynolds.
Seconds. Wow.
Reynolds will hold off Gavin Hibbs for second in the stage. JP Phillips gets 4th. Tyler Pop 5th. Matthew Weeks, Justin Wadsworth, Tate Lytle, David Tooker, and Scott Crump will take the final stage point here in stage 1. Well, alrighty. Now that that's done, now just focus forward on the pit stop.
Now, we'll be coming up shortly, that is for certain, that 42 here. Nearly at the halfway point, I do wonder whether these guys can get to lap 50 and make this a 1 stop, but definitely this could be clean and green the whole way, which is definitely somewhat antithetical to what's been going on in the league. The past couple of weeks, the start of this 25B season has been at times more yellow than it's been green, but we've done nearly half the race with no interruptions, hopefully. No commentators curse there from me, but speaking
well,
of...
if we do, it'll be all your fault, William. I'm free for once!
There you go. It'll be my fault if we see a yellow now till the end of the race, but there is one yellow that is quite prominent so far in this race, and that's the bright yellow car of Jonathan Cutlip now scooting off into the sunset once again, 4 tenths clear of Gavin Hibbs.
So now here comes Matthew Weeks side by side, trying to get up into 4th place. Not quite able to clear JP Phillips. Tyler Pop wanting to maybe make this 3 wide. He won't. Matthew Weeks up into P4. Oh, but here comes Phillips on the crossover. A fantastic scrap for P4 right now. And side by side with Hibbs and Reynolds as Cutlip is starting to run away.
I think
Reynolds takes back second. I think you're right about that. As now we got a massive gaggle for P4. Weeks, Pop, Phillips, and now Tate Lytle making his presence known. Last week's winner in the season opener, trying to go back-to-back. He is just outside the top 5.
Come from quite a ways back there, hasn't he, Tate Lytle there?
Yeah, but it was weird, though, because he started P5, but then he dropped back immediately. But clearly it was focus on conserving, because now he's starting to show the fruits of that labor. He's one of the fastest cars on the track right now.
Definitely, I think really only beaten by Jonathan Cutlip and Blake Reynolds. He's pretty much on par with Matthew Weeks in front of him. Cutlip and Reynolds with the benefit of now essentially both of them having clean air with the gap between them. But now Ethan Burrell coming down pit road on lap 47. So unless he's going to really go long on that second stint, whether this is a real big undercut, we might see some interesting strategy where these guys can't quite go half distance. Dustin Dewar following him in as well.
Yeah, that's a bold strategy, Cotton. You hope that he'll have the fuel to, like you said, to stretch it and not have to bring it back down again. But yeah, pitting a few laps before halfway. So again, don't have the fuel numbers, so kind of speculating as we go there. So if we're wildly off base, like they were in real life yesterday, it's our apologies.
So nearly at the halfway point now. Jonathan Cutlip leading by about half a second over Blake Reynolds, but it's kind of ebbing and flowing between the pair of them. Blake Reynolds looks to be really, really good on corner exits, corner entry, sorry.
Oh! Massive contact from Reynolds on the outside of 2.
Exit. But yeah, Blake Reynolds tags the wall there, loses about a tenth and a half, 2/10 for his troubles there. I don't see not even a scratch on that number 86 Toyota, so he'll be okay to continue in his pursuit of Jonathan Cutlip. Now halfway through this race, when we come back to the line again, behind them, it's a fight for P3. That's Matthew Weeks trying to get the job done on Gavin Hibbs, as is Tyler Pop. Hibbs starting to lose touch now with the leaders.
Yeah, Matthew Weeks making a fantastic move to get past Hibbs. I think Phillips behind may have got the wall, and they're going to be 3 wide behind this battle. Bodie getting by Phillips, Wadsworth trying to fight through as well.
That's Wadsworth going into the pits. Just off out of frame there, yes it is, for Pride Racing. So Justin Wadsworth pitting at exactly the halfway point, so we now know that these guys can go at least 51 laps. We'll see if they can go any longer. If they can go 53, 54, then we know that Ethan Burrell, who pitted on lap 47, can make it. We'll see as the leaders come around this time whether anyone comes down pit road. Jonathan Cutlip's pitting from the lead.
Yes, yeah, there you have it. Race leader down. Blake Reynolds stays out and will lead his first laps of the evening.
When's the last time it took half the race for Blake Reynolds to lead a lap? Such is the strength of this performance from Jonathan Cutlip. He's really kept Blake Reynolds at more than an arm's reach so far tonight. Here's Jeff Green coming down pit road.
Oh, man.
Nicely done.
Yeah, not the pit exit that you draw up from Green and Seth Rawls, but they made it down, no penalty, so that's as good as you can hope for, but they're definitely going to lose a lot of time from having to turn pit road entry into a chicane, basically.
Definitely. We'll see a couple more take us to pit road. There's Mark Rebilas, series sponsor just coming through. Jacob Adams in the 28 Cal Pocock we saw in the other Gazoo Racing Toyota, not to be confused with David Tucker in the 19 for Pro Edge. 31 of Gerald Campbell is just called out on the radio that he is pitting. Blake Reynolds, Matthew Meeks, Tyler Pop, and most of the guys still occupying the top 10. Staying out, here comes Paul Mikolajczyk into the pit lane as well.
Yep, and here comes the 31 Campbell. Phillips is also going to be bringing it in. A lot more cars going to be coming this time around. Still no word from our current leader, Reynolds, is this is a hornet's nest right here.
There's Christopher James as well. I think I saw another car in that lead gaggle. There's a handful there. JP Phillips, Leighton Norgard, and Michael Hossack.
Man, the Reynolds is really stretching this out. He's really gonna try to focus on the overcut here for his strategy.
He's going to lose a lot of time at this point.
Oh,
as
there he is.
Blake Reynolds and Gavin Hibbs and David Tucker, who locks it up a little bit, gets it slowed down. Jared Rexing as well. Oh, someone's gone for a spin. That's Joshua Adams. There's a whole bunch of cars.
No! Oh man!
Jesse
Racibas! Oh my goodness!
It won't be a yellow because it's in pit lane, but that is rotten luck for the pair of them.
Talk about
Racibas blows the cone.
Talk about wrong place, wrong time for Adams. Like, of all the dumb luck, and wow, Matthew East got super close to the pit entry cone there. Nerve-wracking stuff. Doesn't seem like he's got any sort of penalty, so it looks like he barely got away with it, but he barely got away with it.
Blake Reynolds racing past Connor Thompson Gardner out the pit lane, just about got away with it with two tyres on the paint. That is the sort of clinical overtaking that you see out of a ex-Coke driver. Just those tiny little things, that's what adds up sort of the gap as now race leader Tommy Ryan coming down pit road for unacceptable racing car. Hanshaw now in second place, so Jonathan Cutlip does inherit now the lead of the race by just 0.4 of a second over Justin Wadsworth as Hanshaw comes down pit road, as does Tommy Ryan already did pit, that's why the gap decreasing so rapidly. Cutlip now takes the lead again, but Blake Reynolds 5 seconds behind Jonathan Cutlip.
Yep, it looks like the pit sequence is done, and Jonathan Cutlip comes back out in the lead of the race as Wadsworth right behind. Wadsworth, one of the early pitters, using that to perfection as it puts him just a few tenths behind Cutlip for the lead of this race. Ethan Burrell, also a big winner. He gained a ton of spots. He was well outside the top 10. I think maybe even barely in the top 15 when he made his stop. So good track position gain for Burrell, but we're going to see what this looks like towards the tail end of this run and see how much the overcut was an advantage to the overcut or vice versa here. Wasn't too big of a difference pit time compared to some of the guys like Reynolds and Cutlip only being about, I don't know, would you say 5 laps difference in pitting?
Yeah, Cutlip came in, I believe, the end of lap 51, and Blake Reynolds, along with everyone else, came in at the end of lap 55, 56 for some of those guys, 14 weeks. So we know that the car, in terms of fuel mileage, really maxes out at 56 laps. So everyone can make it to the end now on their tank of fuel. So that is absolutely not on anyone's mind for the moment. What would be on the minds of drivers now is tyre delta, essentially. So Jonathan Cutlip gained about 6 seconds on Blake Reynolds by pitting that much earlier and having that many more laps on fresh tyres. But now that everyone has pitted, because Blake Reynolds pitted 6 laps later, that pendulum has begun to swing the other direction. That's why this cycle started with a 5-second deficit between Blake Reynolds and Jonathan Cutlip, and why that deficit is already now down to 3.5 seconds. Because Blake Reynolds' tyres are that much fresher, he is now going 2.5–3 a lap quicker than Jonathan Cutlip. So this was a case of Jonathan Cutlip really wanting that track position to keep it for as long as possible, but otherwise he would have been locked in a fight with Blake Reynolds, because I think he was starting to inch into that gap before the pit stops. So I think Cutlip's ideal scenario now is for this to go for as long as possible green before Blake Reynolds catches up, and then for everyone to pit, get on equal tyres, and then try and race it to the end. What he doesn't want is for this to go green to the end, because Blake Reynolds will catch and pass him and win by a fairly long way if this goes green. But so far, Jonathan Cutlip holding off Justin Wadsworth is now in second place. 2 tenths of a second behind him in that orange number 6. The 28 going around Cutlip on slightly fresher rubber to get their lap back. Jesse Racines and Joshua Adams also in between them, but just at the back of your picture there, that is the 86 of Blake Reynolds, who is very much eating into that gap up at the front.
That he is already back down to under 3 seconds. I think he cut another quarter of a second off as you were saying that, William. So he's really proven how much those fresher tires are making a difference. And it's wild how overpowered the overcut seems to be on iRacing. Like, I rarely see the undercut work out as well as it always seems to in real life.
Yeah, there are very few tracks that an undercut will work. It's the sort of thing where if there's been a few yellows in a race and it starts to get a bit tight on fuel, potentially that's when you'd employ an undercut. If, let's say, you pit 10 laps before the end with 20 to go. 10 laps before the end of a fuel run with 20 to go, there probably isn't the time for those fresher tyres to then catch back up and take advantage of that delta. That's the sort of situation where an undercut works. But I think just a general undercut, like what Jonathan Cutlip's done, I don't think works because of the fact that there is so much time for the likes of, in this case, Blake Reynolds, Tyler Foote, Matthew Weeks, to make up the delta that anything that they would have gained in, you know, pitting that much earlier, even if it is to the tune of 5 or 6 seconds like we've seen tonight. The tyre wear is so prominent at a track like Chicagoland that the tyre delta becomes that much greater in those handful of laps that eventually the car on fresher tyres just starts to reel you in, and it becomes really a losing battle when they get to you, because now Blake Reynolds within a second of Jonathan Cutlip, won't be long before we're fighting for the lead between those two. Justin Wadsworth as well might be in with the chat of this as well if things get heated between the 5 and the 86, so can't count him out either.
Yeah, and like the only times I see the undercut maybe work is that if the difference between your max fuel length is similar to the length of a run. Like if, let's say for example, they only had like at absolute maximum 51, 52 laps on the tank, you know, you wouldn't really consider going for the overcut on that because the difference in the tires would be very negligible. So you would basically want to bring it in right at lap 50 as early as possible to be able to make sure that you don't need to bring it down in one stop and you have that little bit of a gap and gain from someone who might have tried to stretch it that extra lap after. As we see Blake Reynolds already trying to make his way past Wadsworth. They got lap traffic right involved in this fight too. This is going to make things interesting. Or maybe, as I say that, Reynolds already just blows by Wadsworth like he's standing still.
Yeah, definitely the tyre advantage coming to Blake Reynolds there. Nothing Justin Wadsworth could really do. Still hanging on though. Very, very strong performance in this part of the race in P3. That's the 28 of... which Adams is it? Jacob Adams. He's 1 lap down. Jonathan Cutlip had a bit harder time of dispatching of that 28 than Blake Reynolds did. He managed to get through turn 1 and 2 and immediately get past the 28. But we saw the 5 and the 28 side by side and back to front and nose to tail, excuse me, for quite some time and that will have definitely slowed Cutlip's progress somewhat. Definitely would have hurt his tyres and will have hurt that tyre delta even more. And with 29 laps to go, here comes Blake Reynolds looking for the lead.
He's going to have a great run here coming off of turn 2. Not really close enough to make the move, but he's still going to send it off into the corner. Massive gain on the 5 through the center. They're going to be nose to tail here as they take it through the tri-oval. Reynolds looking to the inside. That it is, William. And Reynolds can't get alongside. Cutlip's going to hold him off for now.
27 to go at the start-finish line with Mark Rebilas just in front of this leading Racecraft Academy pair here. Jonathan Cutlip and Blake Reynolds. Blake Reynolds biding his time here, patient in his pursuit of Jonathan Cutlip, taking it very, very easy on the low line, low load, low abrasion, taking care of those tyres, preserving the delta, gets awfully close to the rear of Jonathan Cutlip, but again, another one of those details, you can just tell where your car is, exactly to the millimetre how big your car is, where you'll come out relative on the exit of the corner to your rival. It's inch-perfect stuff that you will really only see out of the likes of Blake Reynolds, out of Zach Novak as well, who's now in the league, as we've mentioned, and the other top-shelf drivers. But coming to the last quarter of the race, we come back to the start-finish line as both our leaders come back past Mark Rebilas. Blake Reynolds just looking for the opportunity.
Yeah, it was massive for Cutlip to finally get by Rebilas. It looked like Martin may have been holding him up just a smidge. Now he's got clean-ish track ahead. But lap traffic will still be here. It's still going to be something that Cutlip is going to have to fight with while fighting Reynolds for the lead of the race.
I'll tell you what, the longer that Jonathan Cutlip can keep Blake Reynolds behind him, the better it is for Jonathan Cutlip, because it does start to, the pace that is, does start to plateau. We saw last run get about 25-30 laps into a run, lap times to start to plateau anywhere between a 32.8 to a 33 flat. Just looking at Jonathan Cutlip's lap time. So what that tells me is that while Blake can afford to be patient, I think that's the best thing he can do at the moment, his time is, I think, more limited than I think we initially realised, because he has to take advantage of this pace.
Oh, here he comes.
Completely plateaus, and I think he might do it here.
Going for the slider. Slide job! And he'll complete it. Move Blake Reynolds to the lead. Here comes Cutlip on the crossover. Is there anything left in that 5 to get back past? Side by side down into turn 1. Cutlip not going to be clear. Reynolds going to pull him off of the corner. Blake Reynolds takes the lead here at Chicagoland.
That was about the best opportunity that Blake Reynolds has had so far, and he's taken it wonderfully. Protected the crossover there, gave Cutlip plenty of room. He washed out a little bit, did the 5, so filter past the 62. This will help John a little bit, getting past lap traffic. But I think once they're clear of these two, I don't see anyone immediately up ahead, so this could be...
Whoa!
For Blake, as the 62 tags the wall in front of the 5. Scary stuff.
Yeah, that made Cutlip's heart race a bit there, and I'm sure Reynolds too, since James was right next to the rear of that 86 when he made that wall contact.
Now all we have to do is, I think, get past Josh Adams in the 22 just ahead of them in that shift esports forward, and I think beyond that, they have got clean air up until the next lot of back markers, which is the fight between the 44 and the 43, Michael Goodman and Dominic Wright. So I think we're now just going to see patient driving from these two, unless they find themselves in a fight nearer the end, where I think the aggression will really start to turn up to 11.
Yeah, we'll see if Cutlip has anything left in the tank. It's going to be difficult, though. So far, he's doing a good job to maintain connection with Reynolds. He's still within about car length or so.
He's still within touch. That much is true. He's not absolutely falling by the wayside here. He's still within 3/10 and still looks fairly good on corner exit here. Granted, the 86 slightly impeded by the 22. That's going to help bring Cutler just a little closer this time. And into one we go. Yet again, Cutler just searching for clean air between the 22 and the 86. Eventually does come back down. Blake.
And
still...
Adams into the wall a little bit.
Yeah.
That's
Blake
the second.
Himself.
That's the second lap car to get the wall in between our lead duo.
Blake
I had a nickel. Yeah. If I had a nickel for every time that's happened, I'd have 2 nickels. It isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice.
It has happened twice, and 2 nickels is definitely not a lot, but still scary stuff for the 2 front runners here. Jonathan Cutler and Blake Reynolds. Cutler now with a good run off of turn 2 down the back straight. Don't think he's going to do anything with it this time. No big send from the 5, but he's holding on. His tyre conservation has been absolutely second to none tonight, and he is hanging with Blake Reynolds beautifully as the pace is now beginning to plateau. Lap times for Jonathan Cutlip last time 32.795, for Blake Reynolds 32.756. So we are about plateaued now. This is a case of taking all the opportunities that you can get with lap traffic, with multi-groove racing as they work past Michael Goodman now. And Michael Goodman concedes in that position fairly quickly, so to not get in the way, but that's giving Cutler just a little bit of impetus to close back up now. This fight not over in the slightest.
And you saw us show a little bit ago, Jesse Racines brought the 70 car down pit road, and it has not moved since then. So I think Jesse might be done for the night here with, I think he brought it down like 21 laps to go.
Yeah, I did see him bring it down, seemingly unprompted, no significant damage to that machine, no penalties. I think with that incident that happened with Joshua Adams on pit road, and already what was a... he blew up. That would make sense. That would be why his car is not moving, is because the engine doesn't work. Kind of one of those to use a motor car. So... goes from bad to worse a bit for Jesse Racines.
Yeah, that's absolutely unfortunate. So we see Reynolds start to leg it out just a little bit. Cutlip did a great job to keep it as close as he could, but now that little bit of extra freshness on Blake's tires might be starting to show itself.
Half a second between Cutlip and Reynolds, so I think Reynolds starting to really take advantage. Cutlip can't really hang with the lead draft anymore. It was hanging on with, but here comes the 42-31.
Yeah,
Still,
these two are doing a fantastic battle right now.
The fight for P22 just as fierce as the fight for P1. That's Ryan Bohr just getting the move done on 2
And here comes Green. Here comes Green and Jill Francis trying to throw their hats in the ring of this battle.
Yeah,
Francis and Green side by side. Green carrying that momentum off of the corner. And he's going to get by Francis and look to the inside of Campbell. He's going to have the inside. Oh, Jeff trying to slide up. He's not going to have the space to do so. It's going to be tied off of the corner, and here comes Francis. Oh, he tried to make it 3 wide. Green cuts down.
Sliding over the apron.
Here comes Campbell trying to make the high side work, trying to get back past the 2, trying not to let him have that clean air. Oh, they're going to be... they're contact. Oh, Green goes down to the apron. He is on the grass trying to hold on to it. Oh, he'll get it back. He will hold on to it. A fantastic save from Jeff Green. Oh, and he goes right back up the track in front of, I think, the 32 of Dusty Door. Oh, boy. Woo, that got exciting there.
Definitely.
We see Rexing and Phillips battling. JP Phillips, he has fallen outside of the top 10. Barely hanging on to the top 15. Tonight started out so promising for JP Phillips. Outside front row, led a bunch of laps, but man, things have just not gone his way since then.
Yeah, tyres not working with him. JP Phillips, I think, a brilliant qualifying lap, showed good pace early on, but I think just not the tyre saving performance that he really needed. And there's your note from the production booth. Hopefully that's not a double jinx.
Oh.
So we've had 0 cautions tonight with 9 laps to go. I've not handed out a single tally so far tonight, not even for severe damage. No drive-throughs, no nothing. Everyone's been supremely well behaved. Jinx.
Phillips holds off. This Phillips holds off Rexing for the moment here.
Still all to play for. Every last point matters. We are, of course, early doors in the season. Stage points come and gone. Positions will shuffle around a lot after this race with the drop week now coming into effect. Some drivers, their best result will have been last week. Some drivers, their best result will be this week. So points will be really, really close after the end of this. A lot of chopping and changing in this first handful of races, but you want to capitalise on these early races where there typically are more cars in the field, where there's a bigger point swing if one of your front-running rivals has a bit of a bad day, and that sort of thing, to get your foot in the door, make a playoff charge, and then from then on, once you're part of that top 14 that makes the playoffs, it is only worrying about those other 13 drivers instead of the other 42 that you're contending with tonight. So it does sort of compartmentalize a little bit. So you want to take advantage of these early races while you can. There's your lap time deltas. You see Jonathan Cutlip, the delta just slowly decreases lap on lap on lap, and for the first time in a little while on lap 93, he was quicker than Blake Reynolds, but Reynolds has just put the burners back on a little bit with a 7.90 and has taken that advantage back and then some, as he leads now by nearly a second and a half.
Yeah, he a bit of a gauntlet thrown down there, gaining another almost 10th and a half there. We're going to be coming to 5 laps to go in this race.
It's been a really, really good performance from Blake Reynolds. Nailed on the strategy, as that's what turned out to be the main factor in this race. The overcut versus the undercut. The overcut has prevailed, as Blake Reynolds, with time on his hands and in his favour, was able to come back from about 5.5 seconds when he came out of the pits to within
and here we go.
Distance.
Sorry to interrupt you, Will, but we got a battle for the last step on the podium. Fody and Hibbs are going to be fighting it out with 4 laps to go in the race. Hibbs rolling that outside, trying to hold off Fody. Fody trying to make the middle line work. Hibbs edges ahead of the 40. Tyler shooting it down to the inside, trying to roll the white line there. Not going to be clear. 3 laps to go. How much tires does Gavin Hibbs have left to hold off of this 40 car?
He's going to be using everything in those tyres left. He's got a second and a half back to Justin Wadsworth, so he's got nothing to worry about behind him. He's got his own worries with Matthew Weeks and Tyler Popp, so Gavin Hibbs and Tyler thought you have to use the last of that Goodyear rubber now. Every last bit of grip now. 2 laps to go. Blake Reynolds only has to do a mile and a half before he is all but home free. Now Fody with just a nose over Gavin Hibbs. Hibbs with the run. This is going to get shicey for the last step on the podium, as you say, James.
Yes, sir. Still side by side. Hibbs running a little lower on the racetrack. I don't know if that's going to help him. I figured his best bet would be to stay up higher as they almost make a little bit of contact. Here comes Fody with the slide job. Hibbs running low. I don't understand that move. That's going to let Fody clear him and take over P3 as we are white flag. 1 lap to go at Chicagoland. Little bit of a lower qualifying effort than what we would have expected from Blake Reynolds, only putting it P10 on the grid, but that doesn't matter. It's been a phenomenal drive for the 86. Fantastic strategy, fantastic tire conservation, and a fantastic win. Off of turn 4, Blake Reynolds will win at Chicagoland. Look at that celebration, drifting over the start-finish line. Cutlip will bring it home second. Tyler Fody will get Gavin Hibbs for third. And Matthew Weeks will round out our top 5.
Clinical performance there from Blake Reynolds, celebrating justifiably. So he's going to drift through turn 3 and for
look at that. Does he really got a flex on us like that? Like, that is...
Well, that tire wear data is now useless.
Yeah. It's going to be all zeros. Wow. Yes, sir. I think it's going to be time that we take a breath and take a break, and let's shout out our sponsors.
3 years of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge of your seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs are coming. Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
Now let's hear about Blue Egg Marketing. Rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pick-me. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand toward victory lane. Don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big.
Since 2010, race fans have had one burning question. When will the Xfinity Series return to Worldwide Technology Raceway? You asked, NASCAR delivered. On Saturday, September 6, 2025, the magic is back. The track that launched the legendary careers of Harvick, Busch, Keselowski, Edwards, and Earnhardt Jr. is now ready to write that next chapter. We're going to introduce you to a new crop of future champions and Hall of Famers. And in the process, we'll create more of the greatest moments in racing history. NASCAR Weekend 2025, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs, the Confluence Music Festival, and now 250 miles of the NASCAR Xfinity Series. 2 incredible races, 1 challenging track, a 3-day party of epic proportions. Go to www.raceway.com and lock in your weekend racing and camping packages for as little as $20 down.
Alrighty, and we are back. Thank you to our sponsors, and also a quick thank you to the series title sponsor, Mark Rebilas Photography. Go ahead and check out his website and give some of his pictures a nice little peruse. But I am here first with our third place finisher, Tyler Fody. You got a copy on me, Tyler?
Yeah, I got you.
Alrighty, well, that was a heck of a run for you tonight. Awesome battle there with Gavin Hibbs there at the end, trying to get that last spot in the top 3.
Yeah, it made up for a little bit of a dull run on my end. Got a little exciting there, but yeah, Hibbs is always a good guy, clean racer. So yeah, it was fun to go at it there for third.
Yeah, you mentioned it was a different race for you there. Here, we did see you kind of fall back pretty early. Were you just trying to focus on tire conservation there?
Yeah, it was well, this race always tends to go kind of green. We've actually had a caution-free race here in Xfinity in the past. So I was kind of anticipating maybe one caution, maybe even all green like it was, and was just trying to really save the tire. In hindsight, I think Tate and I might have oversaved a little too much the initial run. We had driven right back up to that front group, but by then Cutlip and Blake had already cleared them and had a little bit more of a margin on us. So yeah, maybe not oversave as much as we did that first run, and potentially pit a little earlier, but tough to say.
Yeah, and it being a caution-free race, doesn't certainly doesn't help the strategy calls either.
No, it's yeah, I mean, like I said, we kind of were thinking it could do that, but you never really planned for a totally caution-free race. So by the time you're halfway through that opening run, and you've kind of already saved to where you are, you've dropped back, you've given up the track position. When you're kind of at that point, you're committed to it and you're kind of stuck with it. With these all green races, like whatever you do the first 20 laps, you got to take that with you all the way to the end. So yeah, a little bit too much track time given up, I think, early on, but ultimately happy to get back to third.
Alrighty, well, that was still a fantastic performance for you tonight. Any sponsors, plugs, and shout-outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, well, shout out to Cutlip with JD Designs, P2 tonight for him, but he paints all of our stuff. Like Norman guys, all the paint schemes. Always good content coming out from him there. So shout out to him. Shout out to Crump and Tate, my dad and Dylan for running tonight. And yeah, shout out to you guys for being up here in the booth.
Alrighty, well, we appreciate you, Tyler, and hopefully we're talking to you again next week.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Alright, and there is our third place finisher, Tyler Fody, and now time to bring up our runner-up, Jonathan Cutlip. John, James in the booth, you got a copy?
I do.
Well, that was a pretty darn good race from you there, but ultimately just coming up a little bit short there to Blake Reynolds.
Yeah, it was still a pretty fun race. Led a few laps. Unfortunately having a little bit of computer issues, which it wasn't too big of a deal. It was kind of more of a nuisance, but glad we were able to bring it home. Last week it was a travesty for the field. But yeah, I kind of figured with pitting that early, it probably wasn't a good idea. Like, I was kind of just trying a few things as far as just strategies through a race, and I was hoping that the race was going to go green flag to flag, and I was going to pit early and try to build out a gap and just see if I could hold him off towards the end of the race with older tires, but unfortunately didn't get as big of a gap as I needed, plus lap traffic, and he was just super quick tonight. He started P10, I think, and got up to the lead, so that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, take us through how difficult it is trying to plan your strategy at a track like this and trying to figure out which one's going to be better, undercut or overcut.
Generally the overcut's the better option, but here you're not really sure how it's going to pan out because sometimes you just end up with a rash of cautions, and up on the wrong side of things or the right side of things, depending on how it falls. But yeah, decided to go early. I kind of knew it probably wasn't going to work out. It's just things I was trying, and unfortunately, it didn't really pan out.
Well, it was still a fantastic performance for you tonight, all things considered. Any sponsors, plugs, and shoutouts you'd like to give?
Yeah, shout out to Race EPI. Super great group of guys to work with. I'm really looking forward to our Road to Pro program next year. Shout out to Channel 199 Racecrafts. We actually grouped up for this season just to have some fun with Blake, Gavin, Wadsey, and Paul. Super fun group, close friends. It's been cool to be able to race week in and week out with them. Congrats to Blake on the win. Shout out to my mom. She's I'm pretty sure she's watching. Hopefully she enjoyed the race. And shout out to you guys over at Elite, Dave, James, and William. Hopefully the racing was good. It was interesting for sure behind the wheel.
Yeah, it was definitely fun to watch having a caution-free race, but we appreciate you, John, and hopefully we're talking to you again next week.
Yep, see you guys then.
All right, and now one last interview. Our race winner, Blake Reynolds. Blake, James in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, that was a heck of a run out there tonight. First of all, gotta ask, it wasn't quite the qualifying effort I think anyone was expecting from that 86 car. What happened there in qualifying?
I don't know. I just kind of ran the lap, and I may have gone at the wrong time. The wind was kind of crazy. I have a little wind circle thing that Caps has, and like turn 2, the whole race, we were getting pounded in the left side door, and you could feel it. It was bad. So, I mean, on my Q lap, I kind of had the throttle out of turn 2. You're full throttling the top pretty much, and then bottom 3 and 4. That's what a lot of people did. And yeah, I think I just had a throttle out. Maybe that was the 10th or 2 I needed, but yeah. And then we went in the race, and I'm gonna be honest, I have not raced this car in probably 6 to 9 months. So I really had no idea what the tires do. It's pretty much just been next gen only for me. And yeah, I mean, just that first run was experimenting, and I was just kind of driving it hard. And sure enough, right at the end of the run, I started catching in on those front 4, like Gavin and John and all them. And then John pitted like right at the halfway point, and I stretched it to when I ran out of gas at 55, I believe. So. And then after that, I just had the overcut, and typically at 1.5 miles in NASCAR, at least in iRacing, the overcut's pretty good if you are able to pass. So that's what did it in. I got my lead, and then I maintained right in front of John, and it was a fun race. It went green. It's always nice when it goes green.
Right, because it kind of puts everything in the driver's hands instead of luck and chaos base of the cautions. But man, did you really have to stunt on them and go, oh yeah, it was the first time I touched this car in ages. Like, oh, I don't even know how this car works. Like, you couldn't just say.
Well, that you never forget. When you learn how to do that you never forget. I used to love. I used to have a Fanatec CSL Elite, and it had the drift mode. And when I win a race, I'd throw that thing in drift mode right off of 4, and I just sling it back and forth. And I don't have it these days, but I have a VRS direct drive, so it could be pretty fast if I make it. So I just throw it left and right, and the motor does it for you. So it's always fun when you have a car with horsepower, NASCAR, and a little bit less rear tire grip. So it's always fun when you can throw it. And I did my burnout in the front straightaway. I did a Joey Logano-esque, throw to the left and try to do the loop, and I did it in 4th gear. I smoked the tires so bad that I was still spinning them in 4th. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was absolutely a blast for us to watch the celebration and your performance tonight. Any sponsors, plugs, and shout-outs you'd like to give?
Sure. Channel 199 Sim Racing. We're expanding to the GNS series here. Track Racer, of course. Racecraft. Drink Machine Works. My teammates in this race, I don't really know who they are. I think Paul picked them. I think John's my teammate, which is kind of strange. Yeah, Paul, of course. Paul told me to shout him out, and because he's a cutie.
Don't tell him that. He already has a big enough head
He
as it
told me
is.
to say it.
I know. He tells me to say things all the time. Doesn't mean I listen to him.
But I do it for him because he is such a cutie. So yeah, there he is. And yeah, all the rest of my teammates and everyone at Channel 199 and Racecraft who put this together, and y'all for broadcasting, and Chad for putting this all on. It's all fun stuff, and I like what we're doing.
Yeah, and I suspect I don't know where John is from, so it might already be there because he wanted it there. But I noticed there's a Wawa logo on the side of John's car, and I have to feel like Paul might be kind of responsible for that. I'm not sure.
I think that's been there for a bit, but Paul would love that. But
Absolutely.
Paul also has me buy Buc-ee's for him and ship it to him because I'm in Texas.
Well, man, I might have to have you do the same thing because we ain't got that up here in Ohio. But anyways,
If you ever
Blake,
want
that was
Buc-ee's, message me. I got one near my house.
hell yeah. I might have to take you up on that offer. But fantastic run tonight, and we appreciate you, and hopefully we're talking to you again next week.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
All right, and there's our race winner. And before we go, let's do a quick run through of tonight's final results. Your winner, of course, Blake Reynolds from Jonathan Cutlip and Tyler Fody on the podium steps. Fourth place, Gavin Hibbs and Matthew Weeks rounding out the top five. And then we have Tyler Pop, Justin Wadsworth, Scott Crump, Tate Lytle, and David Tooker rounding out the top 10. Tommy Ryan, Gavin Higgins, Alate Norgard, Jared Rexing, and JP Phillips, top 15, and Ethan Burrell, Paul Mikolajczyk, and Chad Frankenfield rounding out the top page of the standings. Michael Hosick, Cale Pocock, 19th and 20th, Seth Rawls, Joe Francis, Gerald Campbell, Dylan Javier, and Frank Fody, top 25. Excuse me. Ryan Borges, Trey Eidson, Dustin Dorr, Jeff Green, and Jaden Racimus, top 30. Jeff Ryan, Brent Jones, Josh Adams, Mark Rebilas, Jacob Adams, top 35. Dominic Wright, Brandon Wilkinson, Kyle Hanshaw, Connor Thompson, Mike Goodman, Jesse Racimus, Luna Albright, your runners for tonight, with unfortunately Sean Judson, Kurt Gibson, and Harrison Talent just coming up short on making tonight's field. Well, before we wrap this up, let's get some final thoughts from you, William. Pretty good race here, caution free.
I have to agree. My life as race control was quite easy tonight. Not even any severe damage. Oh, he put me in the wall, but no caution. No pit lane penalties. No problems at all. I put in the penalty reports chat. No tallies, no problems. Everyone gets a cookie. Thoroughly entertaining still, despite the lack of yellows. The fight for the lead was enthralling all the way, no matter who it was. A deserving winner in Blake Reynolds. We see again the power of the overcut on these big tracks where overtaking is a bit more easy. Still brilliant racing up and down the field, and it wasn't a case of a handful of cars streaking away with it. You see the gaps there, even just the top 14 within 10 seconds. So that's how close everyone still was after 100 laps. So yeah, a thoroughly entertaining race, and if that's how the rest of the season is gonna go, I can't wait.
Absolutely, you're just going to be able to chill, lay back, and just watch the fun on the racetrack. But with that, I think it's time we wrap things up. So for William White and Dave Huckleberry, my name is James Watson, and we will see you next week from Myrtle Beach. Oh boy. I think you might be busy for that one, William. But we'll see when we get there. Have a good night, everyone.